Hey everyone, Miss Fisher here, and today we're going to be reading about a holiday that takes place during this time of year. It is called Las Posadas, and it is celebrated in Latin America, Mexico, Guatemala, Cuba, Spain, and some parts of the US. And it's celebrated between December 16th and December 24th. In the book we're going to be reading about it is 9 Days to Christmas, and the story takes place in Mexico. Let's get started. Christmas was coming. Cece knew, for all the children were talking about it. Then one day, she heard her mother and aunts making plans for the posadas, the special Christmas parties. Each night for 9 nights before Christmas, there would be a posada, and each night at a different house. "Let's have the first one at our house," her mother said. "For now that Cece is old enough to go to kindergarten, I think she's old enough to stay up for the posadas, and old enough to have one of her own." Cece hardly could believe it, that she was going to have a posada. "And will I have a piñata?" she asked. She was thinking of all the wonderful piñatas hung outside the factory where they are made. She knew that piñatas were only paper with clay pots inside, but they all seemed alive. "Who ever heard of a posada with no piñata?" Aunt Matilda laughed, giving a twitch to one of Cece's tiny braids. "But will I have one?" Cece asked her mother again. "You wait and see, Cece," said her mother. "You wait and see." The next day, as on every other day, Cece's big brother Salvador left her at the kindergarten gate on his way to school. And as on every day, Cece watered the flowers in the big garden, danced in a circle, and painted pictures. But at noon, just before it was time for the children to run to the gate to see who was waiting for them, Cece's teacher called her group together under the pepper tree and gave each child a pretty candy and said goodbye. For unlike other days, today was the last day of school. "Hurrah, hurrah!" said Salvador as he and Cece walked home together. "No more school until February." Salvador was happy that school was over. Now he could play baseball with the other boys and watch television at his grandmother's and play his guitar. But Cece was sad. She loved her kindergarten and didn't know what she could do at home while she waited for her Christmas posada. "How long will I have to wait?" she asked Salvador. "Wait for what?" he asked. "For my posada," said Cece. "Till 9 days before Christmas," he said. 21 days. The next morning, before anyone in the house was up, Cece was out watching Maria, their servant, sweep the front sidewalk. "Is today the day of my posada?" she asked. "Not yet, Cece," Maria laughed. "Not yet." Later, Cece went with Maria down the street to where the 2 old women were selling tortillas, corn flour pancakes. The women were slapping the dough between their hands and throwing the cakes on a sheet of hot iron to bake. Other servant girls were buying the tortillas already made, but Maria just bought some dough. Maria knew how to slap the pancakes herself. As they came back past their corner, they stopped again, and Maria bought the morning newspaper for Cece's father. After breakfast, when her father left for the office, Cece ran to the gate with him and kissed him goodbye. Then she went in and watched her mother bathe the baby. When the baby was dressed, her mother let Cece hold him for just a minute, but then her mother took him away and put him in his crib to sleep. "Let me go with you," said Cece, when she saw that her mother was getting ready to go to the market. "Oh no, Cece," said her mother. "You're too little to go to the market." So Cece picked up her favorite doll, Gabina, to play with. "No one will ever take me to the market," she told Gabina. "But someday I will go. And I will take you too, Gabina. Do you want to go to the market?" And because Gabina's head was loose, Cece only had to give her a little shake to make her nod yes. When her mother had gone, Cece sat down by the gate and watched what was happening in the street. Beautiful automobiles raced by. An old man too poor to have shoes went by. He was carrying such a heavy load on his back that he almost had to run to keep from falling. Two village women went by with babies on their backs and their arms full of flowers for the market. The milkman came with his little cart and stood behind the wall where Cece couldn't see him. But when he rang the bell, Maria came running out and bought 3 bottles of milk. Then came a man selling baskets and brooms, and a man selling birds. "Where are my birds?" thought Cece, and she got up and ran back to the patio to see if they were outside. They were, and there on the wall between her patio and the neighbor's patio was the neighborhood's big cat, the one with no tail. "Maria, Maria!" called Cece. "The cat's after my birds again." So Maria came out and carried the cage back into the kitchen. On Sunday, Maria went home to her village, and after Mass, Cece and her family went to the park. Cece loved all the flowers and fountains, but best of all, she liked the ducks on the lake. When she had finished her picnic on the grass, she took some cookies and ran down by the water to feed the ducks. "I'm going to have a postada," she told them, "and maybe I'll have a piñata." The next day, when Cece was supposed to be taking a nap, she was thinking of the ducks. "I wish I was a duck," she thought. "I wish I was a duck sitting on the water. I wonder how it would feel." And she climbed out of bed and ran to the bathroom. She filled the tub half full of water, then took off her clothes and climbed in. Oh, she gasped, for the water was so cold it took her breath away. She sat down in it anyway and tried to quack, but her teeth chattered so much that it sounded like a little girl crying. It wasn't any fun at all to be a duck. "Cece! Cece!" called her mother, running from the kitchen. "What's the matter? Where are you?" And when her mother came into the bathroom and saw Cece blue with the cold, she said, "Cece, what under the sun are you doing in that ice-cold water?" She lifted Cece out and started rubbing her with a big bath towel. "Don't you know that I always have to light the heater and warm the water before you can take a bath?" "I wasn't taking a bath," said Cece. "I just wanted to be a duck," and she began to cry. "Oh, Cece, little one," said her mother, hugging her close. "I wasn't scolding. I was just frightened. I'm afraid you've caught a cold." But even after she was dressed in warm clothes and sitting in the sun in the patio, Cece was still sad. She couldn't forget the poor ducks and how cold they must be out there in the park. "Cece," called Maria, running for the garbage pail. "There's the bell ringer. Hurry, and you can go with me." Meeting on the corner and waiting for the garbage truck was the happiest time of the day for the servant girls on the street. As they laughed and pinched her cheek and asked about her first postada, Cece forgot all about the poor ducks. "And what kind of piñata will you have, Cece?" asked one. "I don't know," said Cece. "I don't know if I'll have one." Then one morning, Cece's mother called her in earlier than usual to comb her hair. "I have a surprise for you, Cece," she said. "Can you guess what it is?" Cece guessed a new doll, then a new dress, but it was neither of these. "Guess again," said her mother. Is it, can it be a piñata?" asked Cece. "That's it," said her mother. "It's your piñata." "Oh, where is it?" asked Cece. "I want to see it." "It isn't here," said her mother. "Today, I'm taking you to the market with me so you can choose your own piñata." Before her mother could finish braiding and tying the yarn in her hair, Cece was pulling away. Then off she ran to tell Gabina. "I'm going to have a piñata, Gabita," she said, "and I'm going to the market to choose it myself. I'll choose the most beautiful piñata in the world, and it will be yours too, Gabina. Do you want to go to the market with me?" And without waiting for Gabina to nod yes, Cece grabbed her doll and a little shawl and ran back to the kitchen to wait for her mother. "Are we going to the big new supermarket?" Cece asked her mother as they waited on the corner for the bus. "No, Cece," said her mother. "For your piñata and other things we need for a postada, we must go to an old Mexican market." As they entered the Christmas-time market, Cece stopped still. Fairies and goblins must have been here in the night, she thought. How else could it be so beautiful? There were candies and toys and sparklers and painted clay figures of Joseph and Mary and the donkey and little lambs and cows. But Cece didn't look long at these, for on ahead, swinging and turning in the wind, were the piñatas. And since her mother had stopped to buy candles and other things, Cece went on, nearer and nearer the piñatas. There were hundreds of piñatas, enormous piñatas, big piñatas, and little piñatas. And as Cece entered the world of the piñatas, they all came to life and greeted her. "Welcome, welcome, little girl," they said. "Do you want to know us better?" And they turned around this way and that, so she could see them from all sides. "Why don't you hang your doll up here with us?" said a parrot. "That doll would enjoy dancing in the wind before she is broken." "Broken? Oh no," said Cece, holding Gabina closer. "This is a real doll. This is not a piñata." "What are you doing here, little girl, all by yourself?" asked a wise owl. "I am choosing one of you for my first posada," said Cece. Now, when the other piñatas heard this, they all started calling to her, asking her to choose them, for wonderful things often happen to piñatas chosen by little girls for their first posada. That was because the little girls loved them. "Take me," said one. "I am little and you can carry me better." "Take me," said an elephant. "I am big and I can hold more fruit." "Ba, ba," said a lamb. "Take me. I am soft and white and have a nice bell you can keep for yourself when I am broken." Cece didn't know which one to choose, so she went on. Suddenly she stopped, for there, up above the other piñatas, was a big, shining gold star. "Oh," said Cece, "you're the most beautiful piñata in the world." But the star said nothing. It just kept shining and turning around for her to see. "Cece," called her mother, "you've gone too far. Wait for me." Now, when Cece's mother came near, all the piñatas were hanging in silence again, and Cece could hear the voices of many people selling and buying things for the Christmas postadas. "Which piñata do you want, Cece?" asked her mother. "Have you decided?" Cece looked back at the other piñatas. She loved them all, but she could only have one. So she pointed to the star. "Oh, what a beautiful one, Cece," said her mother. "It's the star that showed the wise men where to find baby Jesus." So they bought the big star and carried it home in a taxi. And the next day, when Cece woke up, she didn't have to ask. She knew it was the day she had been waiting for, the day of her postada. Early in the morning, her mother, Maria, filled corn husks with sweet cornflour pudding mixed with raisins and packed them in the kettles to steam. Then they colored fruit juices with the bright red flowers from the market. Cece was helping them fill little toys with candy when her father called from the patio that he and Salvador were almost ready for the piñata. Her father was holding the ladder and Salvador was stretching ropes between two trees in the patio. So, Maria got the piñata and hung it between two chairs in the kitchen, and Cece filled it all up by herself. She put she put in big juicy oranges and tiny sweet lemons and peanuts and candies wrapped in pretty papers and red and white sugar canes. Then she went and watched while her father and Salvador tied the filled piñata to the rope in the patio and pulled it way up into the air. "Look, Cece," said Salvador, pulling on the end of the rope that hung down by the jacaranda tree. "This is the way we will pull up your piñata up and down to fool the children when they are blindfolded and trying to hit it." "But I don't want them to hit it," said Cece. "I don't want anyone to break my piñata." "What kind of postada will it be if no one breaks the piñata?" Salvador laughed. "Piñatas are made to be broken." Soon after dark, when all the guests had arrived, Cece, who had dressed up in her village costume because she liked that better than her other clothes, and her cousin Manuel led the procession, which starts every postada. Carrying Joseph and Mary and the donkey, they walked slowly around the patio, and everyone else followed with lighted candles, singing songs. Soon, they came to a closed door at the side of the house, and Cece went up and knocked. At first, the people behind the door sang back, "No, there's no room in the inn." But in the end, the door was opened, and everyone sang, "Come in!" So Cece and Manuel went in and left Mary, Joseph, and the donkey on the table. Then they ran back out to the patio. Now the other children started shouting and singing, "Go on, Cece, don't delay! Bring the toys of candy on a tray." So Cece and her mother and Maria passed the big trays and gave everyone a toy filled with candy. Cece's piñata, in the middle of the patio, shone like a real star over their heads as the children ran from one side to the other, shooting firecrackers and waving sparklers. "I don't want gold," they began to sing. "I don't want silver. What I want to do is break the piñata." So Salvador brought out a long club and a big handkerchief and asked Aunt Matilda and Uncle Pepe to blindfold the children and whirl them around while he held the rope by the tree to pull the piñata up and down. Then there was great excitement, for everyone wanted to be the first to try and break the piñata. The small children just hit the air and made everyone laugh, but the older ones started hitting the piñata. "Blindfold Cece!" called Manuel. "You try, Cece, it's fun!" But Cece wouldn't try or watch. She went and stood behind the tree near Salvador. "Don't let them hit it," she said. "Don't let them break my piñata." But Salvador, laughing with the others, paid no attention to her. Suddenly, there was a crash. Then came shouting to the sound of children scrambling over one another as they tried to grab the good things that were rolling around on the ground. "They've broken it," thought Cece. But she didn't move or look. She just stood there. Listening, and as she listened, she heard a voice up in the branches whispering, "Cece! Cece!" And there, just above the tree, was the brightest star she had ever seen. "Don't cry, Cece," it whispered. "Look, because a little girl chose me for her first postada, I'm a real star now." And as Cece watched, the star flew up to the sky. "No one can ever break it now," she thought, "and it will always be mine and Gabina's." Suddenly, Cece disappeared around the corner of her house. A minute later, she was back, with Gabina in her arms. "Look, Gabina," she said. "They couldn't break it because it was real. They only broke the pot inside." And we have given the world a new star for Christmas. Our star, Gabina. Can you see how it's blinking just at us?" And Gabina looked, and she nodded her head 3 times. The end. All right, my friends, so that was 9 days to Christmas. And Miss Fisher just finds it so interesting to learn what other cultures celebrate during these holiday seasons. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.